So 17 minutes to 12, we're talking all things knowing, thanks to Madonna.
Yeah.
All things Aspergers and autism and all the natural things we can do.
Yeah, that's right.
So where are you guys located and what can people expect when they come and see you guys?
Yeah. So we're in Wynnum, 94 Edith Street, between the post office and St Vinny's. And when people come and see us, we give them a lot of forms to fill out initially because it's a snapshot of what's going on in your body at the time. One of my ladies yesterday, she actually filled out her forms back in November when she made the appointment to see me. And then when she was coming in, she was thinking, well, things have changed a bit because funnily enough, she had started looking after herself. So things had quite already changed for the better already. But anyway, time to get fabulous again for some people.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yes, exactly. Fabulous. Yeah, so, and then the girls on the counter often chat to people about what's going on, you know, decide what sort of appointment would be booked in. Because some people really like the information first up, so we do testing. Sometimes they just want to tell their story, you know, so it really depends on the individual as to whether we do testing the first time, whether or not they really just want to come and meet us and see whether they, you know, like the process. So everyone's a little bit different, you know, but that we take, and I often give people choices as soon as they're in the room, and I say, well, today we can do this or this or this or this. So for example, I do a lot of kinesiology. So with some people don't feel comfortable with that. Once again, had a lady this week and she said, no, not into the spiritual, emotional stuff, that's fine. And I sort of have to make a note somewhere on their chart that they don't like that because it's such a big part of what I do sort of almost automatically.
Yeah.
So if I had someone that I suspected food issues going on, I would definitely use kinesiology. It's my favourite. So I can do intolerance testing. We have intolerance testing kits that do 56 major food groups. So that shows a specific level of inflammation in the body. And it, once again, it's the type that you're not likely to find with the, is it dermatologists who do the skin prick testing for foods allergies? Or is it?
They did up in the Turkey. I'm assuming they still do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that generally is more of an allergic reaction rather than intolerance. You know, so people have so they're two quite different things.
Very,
and the intolerance is the one. Most people know when they've got an allergy. They eat strawberries, their lips swell. They, you know, have wheat and they get, you know, hives. So most people know about their allergies just because they drive them nuts enough so that they have really looked at it, whereas intolerances are much more tricky. So when I'm doing kinesiology, there's actually 5 muscle tests. So kinesiology uses muscle testing, and there's 5 muscle tests that I do for each specific food that I'm checking, because 2 of the tests are for pathology, 2 are for intolerance, and 1 is for an energy mismatch. So if I'm sort of looking at things like dairy, for example, so someone might come in and say, I think it's dairy. You know, I think I get really bloated, so, you know, and they know they've got, say, IBS-y type symptoms or something like that. So I personally want to know whether it's the lactose, whether it's the casein, whether it's dairy as a whole, whether it's the lectins, or whether it's casein opioids. So I can actually check all of those with kinesiology to find out which component of the dairy is causing the problem.
Because it might not be dairy at all.
It might not be dairy.
Just the imbalance, yeah. And
That's
you can
right.
put your finger on that.
And I can also muscle test if organic dairy is going to be okay for that person, or if they go on to Zimmel because it's lactose free, that would be better, or if they go on to the A2 milk, which is the more less genetically modified version of the casein, or actually I can't quite remember what it is, but you know, it's an easy to absorb, that's what it is. It's an easier to absorb form of the protein in dairy. So I can muscle test all those things and see which one is going to be the best for you, or whether your body says, nah, don't touch it with a 40-foot pole. And quite often I can then show them why that is, you know, so, you know, because I can see it in someone's eye if they're going, yeah, I'm not giving up my cheese. So, for example, so if I then give them options saying, well, if you get organic feta cheese, you know, that's actually okay. So then their eyes light up again and they like me again.
And they can't expect it to taste perfect or the same as everything else first up. But if you persevere,
That's right.
you actually do adapt quite well.
Exactly. And, you know, it's like the whole thing when kids are babies. You know, I've got a grandbaby. He's beautiful, little Teddy. Anyway, so sometimes babies are having issues with food as well. You can do surrogate testing through the mother, which is a little bit weird but interesting. So, for example, my grandbaby Teddy, he was having dreadful reflux, you know, for the first few months because he was pretty much born. They said he's tiny, got to add in some bottles a day as well as breastfeeding, and but he was just in terrible pain for until finally I did some surrogate testing, and there were two types of milk that he could cope with. So funnily enough, it was either organic dairy, which was fine, or organic grass-fed dairy, or goat's milk. Those were the two things that actually tested up being absolutely fine, but pretty much all of the others just weren't as great for him.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I know, but then the pain pretty much disappeared overnight.
I was going to say, how quick did he
No, it was almost instantly.
Wow.
You know, the kids just couldn't believe the kids. You know, my son and his wife, the kids couldn't believe how fast it sort of worked.
And usually with new parents anyway, they're too busy trying to settle the baby one way or another. They're probably not thinking of things like this.
No, that's right.
Stress.
Yeah.
But look, we'll be back in just a minute. We're going to have a great song coming up for you guys. No, I'm not going to tell you. No, I will. It's a great song by Luke Bryan. You might not have heard it before. You might have. But yeah, we're talking all things Madonna, and we'll be right back.